Hello folks, and welcome back to my channel. This is the World of TV Shows, and today I have another episode review for you of Cold Case, and this time it'll be on the 8th episode of the first season called Fly Away. The episode originally aired on November 30th, 2003. It was directed by James Whitmore Jr. and written by Meredith Stein as well as Venus Sutt. In this episode, a woman just awakens from a coma that she's been in for 2 years as she and her daughter basically were seen falling off a window. But the team is going to be investigating as to whether she was pushed by somebody or if it could be something else, something that she might have done herself, right? So basically, they're going to be speaking to a lot of different suspects and going to explore in a lot of different directions in an attempt to try and find out the truth about this whole situation. Now, this woman is named Rosie Miles, and she has a daughter named Toya, right? So basically, the two of them are kind of the focus of the episode, and something pretty tragic happened in this particular front, which I will not spoil for you. I'll let you find out for yourselves what happens, but word of caution, it is pretty tragic. It's a night jerker episode. It's one of those very sad themed episodes. So just letting you know about this particular thing. But Fly Away was a pretty great episode. Now, this is one of the most recent cases. It's not really, I guess it's considered to be a cold case, but it's from 2 years, right? From 2001 when this incident occurred, right? So basically, we have our main actors and characters. So we have Laura Regan, who plays Rosie Miles. Don McManus plays Josh Freely, known as Mr. Freely in the episode, who's basically who works for social service, and he's kind of a bad guy. I'll let you find out for yourselves how, but basically, yes, it's pretty filthy in one of the scenes that he does something really unsavory and completely disgusting and wrong. But I'll let you find out for yourselves what it is. I don't want to spoil the episode for you. Then we have other actors, Victor Togyund as Philip Williams. Yeah, so we have Kathleen Gady as Irene Jablonski, Svetlana Efremova as Landlord, who was pretty bad too. I'll let you find out for yourselves how exactly. And then we have other actors such as Christian J. Maioli, Ainsley Lemon plays Toya, Mira Simhan, Chris Fogelman, and a lot of other actors and characters, but those are the main ones. But I thought that Laura Regan was pretty great as the main victim of the episode, as well as her daughter Toya, played by Ainsley Lemon. And so basically, yes, they're going to be looking at in a lot of different directions, and I didn't mention that, but basically, Rosie, who just came out of a coma, is not really 100%, she's not making a lot of sense. She's not completely there because of, mostly because of what she sustained. But basically, Lily, who's usually the one kind of leading the investigation, kind of really, driving everything forward in the sense that concerning the investigation, she's usually the one who's trying to drive, she's trying to be the driving, I guess, the one who's basically really on the front and trying her level best to bring justice to those who have, to the victims. But in this episode, she's a little taken aback, it feels, because she's basically, and this is one of the first times that we have some insight into the characters' lives, which is basically Cold Case is a show that is pretty much focused on cases, on work. But in this episode, we're going to learn something pretty interesting, pretty insightful about Lily's sorry about this, Lily's past, right? Especially in regards to her mother, right? And the relationship that the two had. There's basically going to be we're going to learn something about Lily in this episode, which I thought was pretty nice and pretty interesting to see, some kind of character, you know, something about the characters, the main characters. So we learned something about Lily and her mother. And basically, yeah, we learn about their relationship in this episode, especially concerning the fact, especially, in regards to the fact that she doesn't seem to easily kind of identify, or perhaps, she doesn't feel, it feels that she doesn't really, you know, I don't know what term to use. She doesn't relate to the victim easily in this episode because of her past. And Scotty is trying his level best to kind of understand, what's happening, but she seems to be keeping some stuff, holding back a little bit. But this is pretty interesting, in my opinion, to have that. Now, I didn't mention it, but basically, there was a man in this woman's past that might have done something, because there is an incident that happened where, including I forgot what it is called, a VCR, right? And his name is Rivera, right? That's his last name. So yeah, there are so many different people who could have meant her harm, especially there's also, yes, like I said, the social service guy. There's a another individual, but I'm not gonna spoil it too much. I mean, I haven't spoiled it. I mean, at least I hope I didn't. But yeah, so basically, this is what these characters, what is very important about this whole case, this whole episode. And I thought that this was a pretty nice episode, but a pretty tearjerker at that as well, because boy, is it sad, especially not really for the faint of heart, especially considering what happens. Now, I don't want to tell you what it is. I'll let you find out for yourselves, but it is pretty sad, especially seeing the outcome and what happened and all this, right? So, definitely, you know, a sadder themed, toned episode. But yeah, really nice nevertheless. I thought that the actors are pretty great. All of them, yes, they really did an awesome job. And I really want to, again, emphasize the fact that this is a great show. And this is the 8th episode of the first season, so it's still very early on. But this is the first time that we really have some kind of insight into the characters' lives, which I think is pretty great, right? And near the end, it starts snowing. I thought that this was a pretty nice thing too, having the snow in Philadelphia. And also, there's in this episode, well, the title "Fly Away" is kind of, there's something about butterflies in this episode. I'll let you find out for yourselves what it is. But basically, yes, it could be, I don't know exactly what obviously the titles mean, because what did the people who wrote the titles were thinking about when they wrote those titles. It's always interesting to ask ourselves. But yeah, it could be about butterflies, because butterflies do fly. And yeah, this episode obviously has a very tragic undertone to it. But yeah, it's a pretty nice one, and definitely ends with some kind of a satisfying ending. And maybe at first you might not be crazy about the main character, Rosie, because of, something that happened about her, which I don't want to spoil, as you find out for yourselves, but eventually she kind of grows in the viewers, in the sense that we understand where she's coming from and everything that she did, that it might not have been, out of, for any, bad, there might not be anything bad behind it, or there might be, I better stop here without spoiling too much. But yeah, Fly Away is a pretty nice episode. If I were to rate this episode on a scale from 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It's a nice episode for what it was. 7 out of 10. It really, it's, like I said, it's a sadder one. But nevertheless, it did a pretty great job. I mean, what am I saying? It did a pretty, it left me with a very positive thoughts about the show and how it turns out with the whole case thing. Anyhow, 7 out of 10 for me. Thank you for watching. And what did you think about this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would really like to hear about your thoughts and views on this episode. In the meantime, folks, stay safe. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. And this is pretty much it. This is the World of TV Show signing off.